If you're watching this right now, stop. Take a slow breath, because this moment isn't random. You didn't just stumble onto this video. Something pulled you here, and deep down, you already feel it, don't you? That subtle shift you can't explain. That quiet pressure building inside your chest. Like something is changing, but hasn't revealed itself yet. Lately, everything feels different. Your thoughts are heavier. Your emotions hit deeper. Even time feels strange. Slower, yet somehow slipping away faster. It's like something in your life quietly ended, but nothing new has fully taken its place. That feeling? It's not confusion. It's not anxiety. It's transition. And March 20th wasn't just another date. It marked a shift. Not loud, not obvious, but powerful. And the reason most people will miss it is because they're waiting for something dramatic. But real change doesn't shout. It doesn't warn you. It whispers and waits for you to notice. Let's talk about what no one is saying. Not the surface level stuff. Not the recycled advice you've heard 100 times. But what's actually happening beneath all of this? Because after the new moon, most people expect an instant reset. They think it's like flipping a switch. One moment, everything feels heavy, and the next moment, everything is clear. Motivation returns. Energy feels high. Direction suddenly makes sense. But real change doesn't work like that. It never has. The new moon isn't a finish line. It's not a magical restart button. It's a beginning, but not in the way most people understand. It plants something. A seed. And the thing about seeds is, they don't grow overnight. At first, nothing looks different. From the outside, everything seems the same. No visible movement. No clear progress. Just silence. But underneath, something is happening. Something is forming. Something is preparing to break through. And that's exactly what March 20th represents. Not instant clarity, but internal movement. A shift that starts where no one can see it. And that's why it feels so confusing. Because you can feel something changing, but you can't fully explain what it is yet. It's subtle, it's quiet, but it's real. March 20th didn't just bring new energy, it brought alignment. The kind that forces you to confront what no longer fits in your life. The kind that makes certain things feel heavier than before. The kind that makes you question things you used to ignore. And that's where most people get it wrong. They think something is going wrong. They assume they're losing motivation, or becoming disconnected, or falling behind. But what's actually happening is that you are outgrowing something. That discomfort you've been feeling lately, that restlessness you can't shake, that sense that something needs to change, even if you don't know exactly what yet, that's not random. That's not weakness. That's awareness. Because when you're aligned with something that no longer serves you, it starts to feel uncomfortable. Conversations don't feel the same. Habits don't satisfy you the way they used to. Certain environments start draining your energy instead of giving it. And suddenly, you feel stuck between two versions of yourself. The one you've always been, and the one you're slowly becoming. That space in between, it's not easy. It feels uncertain, unstable, even frustrating at times. Because part of you wants to move forward, but another part is still holding on to what's familiar. And that's where the real shift happens. Not when everything is clear, but when everything feels unclear and you choose to move anyway. Because before something new can truly begin, something old has to break. Not gently, not comfortably, but honestly. old patterns, old ways of thinking, old versions of yourself that you've outgrown. And breaking those things doesn't feel exciting. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like resistance. It feels like confusion, but it's necessary. Because you can't carry your past version into your future and expect things to change. That's why this moment matters so much, because you're not being pushed randomly. You're being guided away from what no longer aligns with who you're becoming and towards something you haven't fully stepped into yet. And yes, that space feels uncertain because there's no clear map, no guarantee, no perfect timing. But that doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're in transition. And here's the truth most people won't accept. You're not falling behind. You're not losing control. And you're definitely not lost. You're being redirected. Every feeling, every moment of doubt, every urge to change something in your life, it's pointing you somewhere. But most people ignore those signals. They distract themselves. They delay action. They wait until everything makes perfect sense. But clarity doesn't come before movement. It comes because of it. And that's what separates the people who grow from the ones who stay stuck. So if you've been feeling different lately, if things don't feel the same as they used to, if something inside you is telling you that change is coming, don't ignore it. Don't silence it. And definitely don't dismiss it as just a phase. Because it's not. It's the beginning of something. Something that hasn't fully revealed itself yet, but is already shaping who you're becoming. And whether you realize it or not, you've already taken the first step, just by noticing it. Here's where it gets real. This is the part most people won't talk about, because it's uncomfortable. 99% of people will miss this shift, not because they're incapable of noticing it, but because they're too distracted to recognize it. Think about it. Every day, attention is being pulled in 1,000 different directions. Scrolling, comparing, reacting, consuming, waiting. Always waiting. Waiting for motivation to show up. Waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting until everything feels clear, easy, and certain. But that moment, it already came. And the reason most people missed it is because it didn't look the way they expected. It wasn't loud. It wasn't obvious. It didn't come with a clear announcement saying, "This is your turning point." Instead, it showed up quietly, subtly, in ways that are easy to ignore. It looked like feeling disconnected from things that once felt normal. It felt like questioning parts of your life you never questioned before. It showed up as losing interest in habits, routines, or environments that used to feel comfortable. It felt like wanting something different, but not being able to clearly define what that something is yet. And that's where most people get confused, because they expect change to feel exciting, clear, motivating. But real change, it often feels uncertain, it feels uncomfortable, it feels like something is off, even when you can't explain why. And instead of leaning into that feeling, most people try to escape it. They distract themselves. They go back to what's familiar. They fill their time with noise so they don't have to sit with that inner tension. Because facing that feeling requires honesty. And honesty can be uncomfortable. It forces you to admit that something in your life no longer fits. That something needs to shift. That you can't keep moving the same way and expect a different outcome. And that realization, it's not easy. So instead, people choose comfort. Because comfort feels safe, predictable, controlled. But here's the truth most people avoid. Comfort is also what keeps you stuck. It keeps you repeating the same patterns, the same habits, the same choices, over and over again. Not because you want to stay the same, but because it's easier than facing change. And the longer you stay in that comfort zone, the quieter your inner voice becomes. That voice that was trying to guide you, that was trying to show you something different, slowly gets ignored. Not because it disappears, but because you stop listening. And that's how people miss their moment. Not all at once, but gradually. By choosing distraction over awareness. By choosing comfort over growth. By choosing to wait instead of act. And the thing is, it doesn't feel like a big mistake when it's happening. It feels normal. It feels harmless. But over time, it adds up. And suddenly, months pass. Years pass, and nothing really changes. Not because opportunities didn't exist, but because they were never recognized. And that's the difference between the 99% and the 1%. The 99% wait for clarity before they move. They wait for confidence, for certainty, for the perfect conditions. But the 1%? They move even when things feel unclear. They pay attention to those subtle signals. They don't ignore the discomfort. They don't run from it. They use it because they understand something most people don't. Discomfort isn't a warning sign to stop. It's a signal to pay attention. It's an indication that something is shifting, that growth is trying to happen. And growth never feels comfortable at first. It stretches you. It challenges you. It forces you to step into something unfamiliar. And that's exactly why most people avoid it. But the ones who don't, the ones who choose to lean into that feeling instead of escaping it, those are the ones who change their lives. Not overnight, not instantly, but gradually, intentionally. By making different choices when it matters. And that brings you to this moment, right here, right now. Because if you're still listening to this, if something in this message resonates with you, then you're already aware of the shift. You've already noticed the difference, which means you're not part of the 99% who completely missed it. But awareness alone isn't enough. Because now comes the real question, the one that actually determines what happens next. Will you ignore it, like most people do? Will you go back to old patterns, old habits, old ways of thinking? Or will you choose to do something different, even if it feels uncertain, even if it feels uncomfortable? Even if you don't have everything figured out yet, because this is the moment where everything can change, not because something external happens, but because of the decision you make internally. So ask yourself honestly, are you going to go back to sleep, or are you ready to wake up? Because both options are available, but only one of them leads to change. Right now, you're standing in a very rare moment. Not the kind that gets announced, not the kind that feels obvious, but the kind that quietly changes everything. Because this is the space where your old version and your new version are both present at the same time. And that's exactly why everything feels so confusing. Because part of you still recognizes the life you've been living, the Pravichni patterns, the familiar routines, the identity you've carried for so long. But another part of you? It's shifting. It's questioning things that once felt certain. It's pulling you towards something different, even if you can't fully define it yet. And being in between those two versions, it's not easy. It feels unstable, unclear, sometimes even overwhelming, because you don't fully belong to your past anymore. But you haven't fully stepped into your future either. And this space in between, this is where most people panic. This is where they rush back to what's familiar. back to old habits, old thinking, old patterns that feel safe, even if they no longer serve them. Because uncertainty feels uncomfortable, and the human mind naturally wants certainty. It wants clarity. It wants guarantees. But growth doesn't offer guarantees. Growth offers possibility. And possibility always comes with uncertainty. That's why this moment is so powerful. Because even though it feels uncomfortable, it's full of potential. This is where decisions are made. Not the big dramatic decisions that everyone talks about. Not the overnight transformations, but the small ones, the quiet ones, the ones no one sees. What you choose to focus on when no one is watching. What you choose to give your energy to. What you choose to ignore. What you choose to walk away from. And what you choose to move toward. Because your life doesn't change in one massive moment. It changes through consistent, small shifts in direction. And those shifts, they're happening right now, whether you realize it or not. Because every thought you entertain, every action you take, every pattern you repeat or break, it's shaping who you're becoming. And that's why this phase matters so much. Because you're more aware than you've ever been. You're noticing things you used to ignore. You're questioning things you used to accept. You're feeling things more deeply. And that awareness, it's your advantage. But it's also your responsibility. Because once you see something, you can't unsee it. Once you feel that something needs to change, you can't go back to pretending everything is fine. And that's where the real work begins. Not outside, but within. Because here's the truth most people avoid. Nothing changes until you do. Not your environment, not your results, not your life. It all starts with you, with the choices you make daily, with the standards you set for yourself, with the actions you take even when you don't feel ready. Because waiting to feel ready, that's another trap. Readiness doesn't come first, action does, and clarity follows. So this shift you're experiencing right now, it's not here to magically fix everything. It's not here to remove all challenges or give you instant answers. It's here to open a window, a small window of awareness. A moment where you can clearly see what's working and what isn't. A moment where you can decide, what am I going to carry forward? And what am I finally ready to leave behind? And that decision, it doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be honest. Because even the smallest decision in the right direction can change everything over time. That's how transformation actually happens. Not through pressure, not through forcing everything at once, but through alignment, through choosing actions that match the version of yourself you're becoming. And the more you do that, the more things start to shift naturally. Your mindset changes, your habits evolve, your environment begins to reflect your growth. But it all starts here, in this moment, in this uncomfortable, uncertain, but powerful space. And if you choose to use it, if you choose to lean into it instead of avoiding it, then yes, everything can be changed. Not instantly, not magically, but inevitably. Because once you start moving differently, your entire direction changes. And direction is what determines your future. So listen carefully. If you're still watching this, this part is for you. Because not everyone makes it this far. Most people click away. Most people get distracted. Most people never hear what they actually need to hear. But you stayed, and that means something. It means something and you recognized this message. It means a part of you is already aware that something is shifting, and that matters more than you think. Because this is your confirmation. You are not behind, you're not lost, and you're definitely not late. You're exactly where you need to be right now, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if things don't fully make sense yet. Because timing isn't about comfort, it's about readiness. And you're closer than you realize. But here's the truth. Timing alone isn't enough. Awareness alone isn't enough. You have to move. Not in a big, overwhelming way, not all at once, but in small, intentional steps. Even if it feels uncertain, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if you don't feel fully ready yet. Because no one ever feels 100% ready. That moment doesn't exist. And if you keep waiting for it, you'll stay exactly where you are. That's why action matters. Because clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from it, from doing, from trying, from stepping forward even when the path isn't fully clear. And right now, there's something on your mind, something you've been thinking about, something you've been feeling pulled toward. Maybe it's a decision, maybe it's a change, maybe it's something you've been putting off. Whatever it is, don't ignore it anymore. That's your signal. And signals don't last forever. They don't keep repeating endlessly. They show up, they guide you, and then they fade if you don't act. So this is your moment, right here, right now. Take a breath, slow down. Listen to yourself, trust what you're feeling, and take the first step, no matter how small it is, because something did shift after March 20th, something real, something important, and now it's your turn to move with it, not later, not someday. Now, if this message resonated with you, don't just scroll away like everyone else. Don't let this be another video you forget in 5 minutes. Pause for a second. Seriously, pause. Take a breath and think. Because moments like this, they don't happen often. Ask yourself one simple question. What am I being pushed toward right now? Not what feels easy, not what feels safe, but what feels real. What keeps coming back into your mind, even when you try to ignore it? Because that thought, that feeling, that quiet pull you can't explain, it's there for a reason. And the way you respond to it could change everything. So don't rush past this moment. Don't distract yourself. Sit with it. Be honest with yourself. Because your answer isn't just an idea. It's a direction. And direction is what shapes your future. If this spoke to you, take it seriously. Because this might not just be a video you watch today. It might be the moment everything started to change.